Yep, it's that time of the year again.
Good morning! Good morning!
Hey guys, this is KingEthan and welcome back to another video, and today we'll be recapping what was a very exciting Apple event. Peak Performance, as they called it, was a very appropriate name. The biggest name of the Apple world, Farag, was nowhere to be seen. Maybe he joined the marketing team on their vision quest looking for names for macOS 13. Anyway, let's get started. So first, they announced an Apple TV Plus exclusive, some Friday night baseball games that are only available on Apple TV. I'm from New Zealand. That faraway nation is at the bottom of the Pacific, and that's the one that's been shut for 2 years. Baseball isn't really our jam, so not really relevant for NZ or a whole lot of other nations, but still good for the roughly 4.1% of the world who live in the US. Moving along swiftly, they announced this new green color for the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro. Solid green for the 13 and a new alpine green for the 13 Pro. Now, personally, I think the 13 Pro in alpine green looks quite nice. It complements the iPhone 13 Pro's other colors as well as in general. However, the iPhone 13 solid green just looks like swamp water in my opinion. Like, I can imagine Shrek emerging from there and Donkey just waiting for him. The next in the series, Shrek the iPhone. The next announcement has been rumoured for a long time, and it was the iPhone SE 3. Now, contrary to rumours that have been circulating in the tech world, it did not change designs, and it stayed with the same 4.7-inch chassis from the iPhone 8. With the home button and Touch ID. Can you believe that that was 2017? It still has the home button and looks just like the SE2 from 2020, but now it has the A15 Bionic chip inside, the same as the iPhone 13 and 13 mini. The A15 Bionic enables 5G connectivity, more battery life, and more camera features like Deep Fusion, photographic styles, and Smart HDR4. Apple claims that the graphics performance on the SE3 is up to 1.2 times faster than the SE 2nd gen, up to 2.2 times faster than the iPhone 8, and up to 5 times faster graphics than the iPhone 6s. Apple also claims that the iPhone SE3 has up to 2 more hours of video playback than the iPhone 8, and up to 4 more hours than the iPhone 6s. But serious, who really compares to the iPhone 6s these days? Updates are guaranteed for years to come and comes out of the box with iOS 15. There are 3 color options: Midnight, Starlight, and Product Red. The new SE is a bit more expensive than the SE2, starting at $429 instead of the 2020 model's $329 start price. It's fascinating to think that the SE actually stands for Special Edition, but at this point this is Apple's least special phone. So then, the iPad Air got updated with the revolutionary M1 chip that is inside the M1 MacBook Air from 2020. Same body and design as before, but now it has that M1 chip. Apple has been way ahead with tablet performance and packaging over the last few years, so this is just another example of that. An absurdly fast chip in the package of an iPad Air, now for $599, the same as the last one. They updated the selfie camera to a 12 megapixel ultra-wide front camera with center stage. It also gets 5G, and now it's got a Thunderbolt port because of M1. And now, apart from a blue finish, that's everything new. Same battery, same display, same fingerprint reader, same design, all that jazz. In the end, they mentioned they want to keep making steps forward on their commitment to the environment. So they're using recycled design. Recycled aluminium. The thing that's still weird though is that even with the M1 chip in the iPad Air and Pro, we still don't have Final Cut Pro on iPad. Yes, iMovie is fine, and yes, they've just updated the app and shown the improvements in the event. But come on, Apple, add Final Cut Pro to the iPad. But now we get to the real meat of the event, the unveiling of the Mac Studio with an M1 Ultra chip and a new studio display. This is an interesting move by Apple because this machine is so personally targeted for creators of video, audio, sound effects, programming, etc, etc, etc. Oh, are you a creative professional? Okay, so then this is for you. It starts with the new chip they announced, which is called M1 Ultra. At this point, they've just milked the M1 series so much with the M1, M1 Pro, M1 Max, and now M1 Ultra. So basically, you can think of the M1 Ultra as 2 M1 Max chips smushed together. They've built the M1 Max with Ultra Fusion packaging architecture to combine 2 chips into one, because at this point the chips are so big you literally cannot make them any bigger, but it behaves like one massive chip. literally 2.5 terabytes per second of bandwidth between the two halves of the chip, and then 800 gigs per second of memory bandwidth for the whole combined thing. The whole thing has 64 or 128 gigabytes of unified memory, a 20-core CPU with 16 of those being a high-performance cores for high efficiency, and it also has either a 48 or 64-core CPU. It's the newest, most powerful chip Apple's ever made. The only machine that will have the Ultra chip will be the Mac Studio. It's in the shape of a Mac Mini if the Mac Mini was a cannibal and ate another Mac Mini. It's roughly the same 7 by 7 inches, but it's much thicker, a whole 3.7 inches tall. It's a fascinating design, with remnants of the trash can Mac Pro from 2006. Basically, it has quite a few perforations at the bottom where it sucks in fresh cold air, half of the volume of this thing is for cooling. There's a bunch of fans in the top and it's pushing out that hot exhaust air out of the top half of the back of it. It's a lot of power in a pretty compact box. But last but not least, there's the new Studio display, a 27-inch 5K version that looks like the younger son, more junior version of the Pro Display XDR, minus the whole XDR thing. It's got a couple of different stand adjustments, a nano texture glass option, and there's a webcam and speakers on it. The webcam is once again familiar a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera with center stage built in, a triple micro array, and 6 speaker setup that supports Dolby Atmos and spatial audio. Basically, they took a display from an iMac without the bottom chin, and then they made it much thinner and put it onto a screen. Okay, so my take on the chip. I'm very impressed with it. Just like when Apple released the M1 chips, they provided not very useful and vague graphs, and they cycled through them very quickly. However, those chips turned out to be what Apple claimed them to be, so I'm taking Apple's word for it a tiny bit. Anyways, it looks like they've done most of their comparisons against the old iMac Pro, which is no longer on their site, and then against the current Intel Mac Pro Tower, which you can buy but probably shouldn't. They're saying that it uses less power than a Core i5 12600K and that it has a better CPU performance than a Core i9 12900K at the same power consumption, and that it delivers the same performance at 100 watts less power. And then for thermals, they're saying it'll take way less power than an RTX 3060 Ti graphics card, and that it takes 200 watts less power than an RTX 3090 graphics card while delivering the same performance, which sounds absolutely sick but will need some testing and proving. These machines are tempting for some tech reviews, but for me, a MacBook Air with 16 gigs of RAM and an M1 chip was a splurge at 2,600 New Zealand dollars, so I definitely can't afford even the base model with the M1 Max chip in, which starts at 3,599 New Zealand dollars. But if you want the M1 Ultra chip, that starts at 7,099 New Zealand dollars. If you spec that up to a 64-core CPU, 128 gigs memory, 8 terabytes of SSD storage, and then for me Final Cut Pro to edit videos, you'll be looking at 10,748 New Zealand dollars. Correction, the Mac Studio actually costed 14,598 New Zealand dollars in the configuration I specified instead of 10,748, what I said in the video. That doesn't even include the Studio display. The main question though is it a Mac Mini Pro or a Mac Pro Mini? We can answer that with what John Turner said at the very end of the presentation.
And they joined the rest of our incredible Mac lineup with Apple Silicon, making our transition nearly complete with just one more product to go, Mac Pro. But that is for another day.
Hone-in-ones on that last line. The transition is nearly complete with one more product to go, the Mac Pro. But that is for another day. So that answers the question. This is a Mac Mini Pro, meaning that for the small category of creators who need serious power, this ain't gonna be their machine of choice. This is a great machine, and don't get me wrong, this could do probably 99.9% of what creators would want it to do. The screen is great for the machine, the specs are great, but serious creator wants Pro. I know Marquez for one said that he will be waiting for the updated Mac Pro rather than this Mac Studio to replace his machine. So those are my thoughts on the latest Apple event. Peak performance certainly lived up to its game. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and hit the like button. I'll catch you in the next video.